Hello everyone, welcome to Academy of Civil Services. Most of you have definitely gone through a lot of videos which contains the explanation of the answer to the questions of UPSC Prelims 2021, right? But did you even thought of a fact that there are certain questions which you could have solved logically, right? Now in this video, we are going to discuss of how to solve the questions logically. Of course, there are certain questions which are conceptual and certain questions which are logical, which even you could have solved even if you are not having proper concept. And we should also follow that approach as well for your upcoming examinations. And this is very, very important. And this is what we are going to discuss in our video this time. So let us have a look at the first question itself. Water can dissolve more substances than any other liquid because. So this is a question that has come directly from NCERT chemistry book, NCERT chemistry 10+2, right? The importance in while analyzing the previous year's paper, the importance of biology and physics was felt, but this year UPSC has also put special attention, special focus in the NCERT chemistry book as well. So this question is a direct question from that part. So the answer goes with option A, that is it because of its dipolar nature. Because we all know that water is known to be as universal solvent. Water is known as universal solvent as it can dissolve a wide variety of solute in it. And water, although it is not charged externally, but it has certain internal charges. All right, it has certain internal charges because of the uneven presence, because of uneven distribution of electrons all over its surface. Because of uneven distribution of electrons over the water molecule, this partial charges are present. So you can see here partial positive charge is present here nearby hydrogen and partial negative charge is present near oxygen. And this is the fact because of which water can dissolve more solute, water can dissolve more substances compared to other solvents. And this is very, very important concept. Moving on to the next question, with reference to street light, how do sodium lamps differ from LED lamps? Whenever you are reading this question, at least you should be able to visualize sodium lamps and LED lamps, right? If you can visualize sodium lamps and LED lamps, two things should be clear. Two things definitely should come to your mind. One is that why sodium lamps have been replaced by LED lamps. That question should come to your mind. It is because the LED lights or LED lamps that are used in street lights, they're more efficient. They help in saving of energy. They're more durable. They have longer lifespan. Yes, this is point number one. And point number two, again, if you think, this sodium lamps that we have seen from our childhood, the sodium lamps, they always emit one certain color of light. That is the yellow light. It emits only that yellow light. But in case of LED, you can get different ranges of light, right? You can get different range of light. Although here in this picture, only white light has been shown, but we all know that LED lights are available in different color and it has the capacity to give different colors as well, right? And if you can remember these 2 points, you can approach to this question as well. As street lights, sodium lamps have longer lifespan than LED lamps. No, of course not. Just now I have said that LED lamps have longer durability, isn't it? This is the advantage of LED lamps. So you can directly eliminate statement 2. If you eliminate statement 2 with the help of elimination method, you can again eliminate option B and option D directly. Now, as I have said, sodium lamps, it will be emitting one certain color of light. That means it's monochromatic. It's monochromatic, while LED, they offer significant color advantages in street lighting. Yes, they are polychromatic. LEDs are polychromatic. Sodium lamps are monochromatic. LEDs are polychromatic. Therefore, statement 3 is correct. Statement 3 is correct. Now, sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees. Yes, this is also an important fact. Sodium lamps, they produce light in a omnidirectional manner. Omnidirectional means 360 degree, but this is not in case of LED lamps. This is not in case of LED lamps. If you have observed it carefully, this is not in case of LED lamps. So statement 1 is correct. So our correct option goes with option C, that is statement 1 and 3 are correct, and option C is the correct answer for this particular question. Moving on to the next. The term ACE2 is talked about in the context of ACE2. If you were aware of the current affairs, then definitely you should be able to answer this particular question, right? Because ACE2, this term ACE2 and spike protein, S protein, they are very, very common. They are very, very common with respect to COVID-19, right? ACE2, angiotensin converting enzyme 2. It's a receptor for the spike protein of the COVID virus. Now, since it's related to the virus, definitely our answer goes with option D, that is involved in spread of viral disease. No doubts. Moving on to the next. Bisphenol A is cause of a concern, is structural or key component in the manufacture of which of the following kinds of plastics? Now, it is very, very important to know that bisphenol A is a toxic compound. Okay, it's toxic, and therefore there are certain things that says about the stopping of BPA. All right. Now this BPA, this bisphenol A, they're used in making, they're used in this water bottle plastics. They're used in making the plastics that is used for making this water bottle. And the kind of plastic that is used in making these water bottles, the correct answer is the polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is used in making these water bottles. And this bisphenol A is harmful. It's toxic. Moving on to the next. Triclosan, considered harmful when exposed to high levels for a long time, is most likely present in which of the following? Now, what is triclosan? Triclosan is an antimicrobial compound. Okay, triclosan is an antimicrobial compound, and it's used in a wide variety of compounds. This triclosan is used in a wide variety of compounds. Now, if you have gone through the UPSC syllabus, you must have observed that in the syllabus, science in everyday life is clearly mentioned. And this time, UPSC has asked a lot of questions from science in everyday life. So UPSC has asked you people not only to focus only on books, but also to look to the surroundings, look through the surroundings, look through all the things that you are using, right? So that you can get an idea, right? Now, this triclosan, for your more information, I would like to mention that the Colgate that we use, triclosan is also used in Colgate. As you can see here, triclosan, 0.30% of triclosan is used in Colgate, right? But one thing that I should mention is that triclosan has certain health concern because it can pass through the skin, it interferes the hormone function, and it's also toxic to the aquatic organisms. This triclosan is toxic for the aquatic organisms. So triclosan is also a harmful compound. It's a harmful compound, although it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, it has certain health effects. Now, for answering this particular question, as it's an antimicrobial compound, definitely answer option D, that is toiletries. This triclosan are used in toiletries. Moving on to the next, very easy question which we have learned in our school days. Which one of the following is a reason why astronomical distances are measured in light years? Why astronomical units, I mean distances, they are measured in light years? Distances among stellar bodies do not change. No, this is not the right answers. Gravity of stellar body does not change. This is also not correct. Light always travels in a straight line. Always. No. There is bending as well. No. Speed of light is always same, or speed of light is constant. Yes, this is the perfect answer for this particular question. Again, moving on to the next. With reference to recent developments regarding recombinant vector vaccines, consider the following statement. Now, with the emergence of COVID-19, with the emergence of vaccine technology, this particular topic, anything related to virus, anything related to vaccine is very, very important, right? Anything that is related to virus and vaccine, they are very, very important. Right. So while talking about, forget about recombinant vector vaccines, but whenever we are talking about recombinant technology, okay, whenever we are talking about recombinant technology, one thing that you should know that this technology use genetic engineering methods. Recombinant technology makes use of the genetic engineering method. So definitely statement 1, that is genetic engineering is applied in the development of this vaccine, holds true for this particular question. Now, moving on to the next statement, bacteria and viruses are used as vectors. If you have gone through the NCERT biology book of class 12, then you will get the answer there directly. Vectors means they are carriers or agents. Vectors can both be virus as well as plasmids of bacteria. So definitely statement 2 is also correct. But in case if you have not studied this NCERT biology book of class 2 level, then how to approach this particular question? One thing definitely I will expect from you, that whenever we are talking about the recombinant technology, the use of genetic engineering is obvious. You will have to know this part. For approaching this second part, I can at least give you an example with the current affair portion. Let's take the example of Covishield and Zycov-D. Covishield, this Covishield vaccine, they are viral vector vaccine. Why? Because they have made the use of adenovirus as the vector here. So Covishield is a viral vector vaccine. Moving on to Zycov-D, which is the first plasmid DNA vaccine for human use. As the name itself says, Zycov-D, the first plasmid DNA vaccine. That means it's making use of the plasmid, right? Plasmids are they're circular extra chromosomal substances that are found in bacteria, plasmids, right? So plasmids, as Zycov-D has taken the use of plasmids, definitely bacteria, the thing of bacteria comes into effect, right? And with this approach, with this methodology also, you can consider that statement 2 is correct, and therefore option C, both 1 and 2 are correct. All right, moving on to the next. In the context of hereditary diseases, consider the following statements. Passing on mitochondrial disease from parent to child can be prevented by mitochondrial replacement therapy, either before or after in vitro fertilization of eggs. Now, whenever we are talking about mitochondrial replacement therapy or MRT, one thing that you should know is that this three-parent baby or three-parent in vitro fertilization technique, all right, where if there is any disease, in the mitochondria of the mother, then a donor egg is being used. Yes, a donor egg is being used and mitochondria from female is transferred always, and therefore the fertilization, once the fertilization process takes place, after that the baby that is born is a 3-parent baby. Why? Because there is one original father, original mother, and there is one donor who gives the egg containing the mitochondria, right? So it's the 3-parent baby. A child inherits mitochondrial diseases entirely from mother and not from father. This statement is also true. If you go through pedigree analysis, the geneticists, when they undergo this pedigree analysis of genetic diseases, they always, while referring to any mitochondrial diseases, they will always draw diagrams with respect to disease that is inherited, this mitochondrial disease that is inherited from mother. All right. So this statement is also true. Both the statements are true, and therefore option C is the correct answer. Next, Bolgert 1 and Bolgert 2 technologies are mentioned in the context of Bolgert 1 and Bolgert 2 are related with BT cotton. BT cotton, we all know they're genetically modified crops. Yes, if they're genetically modified crops, then definitely option B, developing genetically modified crop plant, is the correct answer. Moving on to the next, again, a logical question. In a pressure cooker, the temperature at which the food is cooked depends mainly upon which of the following? Focus the word temperature. Temperature depends upon which of the following? Area of the hole in the lid, temperature of the flame, or weight of the lid, right? If you look at this diagram, definitely area of the hole of the lid is important. Yes, area of the hole. If there is variation in area, there will be variation in pressure. If there is variation in pressure, definitely there will be change in temperature. So area of the hole in lid is correct. Next, temperature of the flame. Since the question has asked about temperature, yes, temperature of the flame, although it's provided externally, it's definitely responsible, right? So statement 2 is undoubtedly correct. Next, statement 3, weight of the lid. One thing that I can say is that if you're putting a cover, if you're putting a lid into a cooker, into a pressure cooker, it will build up the pressure, it will help in building up of the pressure, and finally it will rise the temperature. That's true. But whether the variation in the weight of the lid is responsible or not, weight of the lid, if you change the lid with a different weight, does it affect? Will it affect? No. So the correct answer is statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. So we shall go with option A. Moving on to the next. Consider the following: bacteria, fungi, and virus. Which of the above can be cultured in artificial or synthetic medium? One thing that I would like to say is that virus, when they are present, they are a peculiar kind of thing. When they are present inside a living host, they act like living organism. But when they are present outside the host, they act like crystal structure. All right, this virus act like crystal structure. So culture of virus in artificial media is not possible. And if we talk about artificial culture of bacteria, yes, it's possible. This is an artificial culture of bacteria. Here, this is the artificial culture of fungi. It's possible, and therefore option A, containing both 1 and 2, they are correct. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements. Again, questions from virus has come, right? Virus from UPSC perspective is very, very expected and is very, very important because of COVID-19. So UPSC expects you to know about different virus. Adenovirus have single-stranded DNA genome, whereas retrovirus have double-stranded DNA genome. Now, this term retrovirus is very common. Why? Because retrovirus is responsible for causing HIV/AIDS. Right. Now, if we look into the central dogma, this is the normal process where DNA is converted to RNA, and this is called as transcription. RNA is converted into protein, and this is called as translation. But in case of retrovirus, what happens? They have the genetic material as RNA, and RNA is converted to DNA, and this is called as reverse transcription, and this is possible in case of retrovirus only. And therefore, if you look at this particular statement, retrovirus have double-stranded DNA genome, this is incorrect, right? Because retrovirus, they have RNA genome which are converted by reverse transcription to DNA, that's different, but their genome is single-stranded RNA. So directly statement 1 is incorrect. Moving on to statement 2, common cold is sometimes caused by an adenovirus, whereas AIDS is caused by retrovirus. Yes, AIDS is caused by retrovirus, we all know. And common cold, if we have to say common cold, most of the cases, they are caused because of the presence of rhinovirus, and sometimes they are caused because of adenovirus. And since the word sometimes has been used, yes, statement 2 is correct. So we can go with option 2 as the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is used in preparing a natural mosquito repellent? A direct question, direct answer, lemongrass. This is the lemongrass. And hereby I would like to mention about citronella tree, citronella plant also. It is used as insect repellent. So at least you should remember this name of lemongrass, citronella that are used as insect repellents. Moving on again to the next part. Consider the following kinds of organisms: copepods, cyanobacteria, diatoms, foraminifera. Which of the above are primary producers in the food chain of ocean? Whenever we are talking about primary producer in ocean, it means primary producer in ocean, they comprises of, primary producer means the organisms which are autotroph, which have the photosynthetic ability. Yes, they are phytoplanktons, they are algae. The green organisms are the autotrophs. The green organisms have the photosynthetic activity, and they are the primary producer in the food chain. Right. Now, when we are talking about primary producer in the food chain of ocean ecosystem, one is I have mentioned about phytoplankton, and diatoms, they are a part of phytoplankton. Phytoplankton can be categorized into diatom and dinoflagellates. So yes, diatom, since it's a phytoplankton, yes, it's correct. And cyanobacteria also has photosynthetic ability. It has photosynthetic pigments. Cyanobacteria is also known as blue-green algae, and therefore this is also right. And so our correct option is option B. 2 and 3, cyanobacteria and diatoms are correct, right? Moving on to the next question. Consider the following animals: hedgehog, marmot, and pangolin. To reduce the chance of being captured by predators, which of the following organism roll up and protects its vulnerable parts? All right. So here is the hedgehog. This is the pangolin. Both of them rolls up in order to protect themselves from the predator, and therefore the correct answer is option D, 1 and 3. Here we do not have any concept. It's a direct factual type of question where the examiner will definitely expect you to know it, right? Next, moving on to the next question. With reference to the New York Declaration on Forest, which of the following statements are correct? It was first endorsed at the United Nations Climate Summit in 2014. It endorses a global timeline to end the loss of forest. It is a legally binding international declaration. It is endorsed by governments, big companies, and indigenous communities. India was one of the signatories at its inception. Now, if you have read about New York Declaration of Forest, then definitely you will be able to answer this particular question. If you haven't read, our normal tendency to prepare for UPSC is that we consider most of the things that is much more importance with respect to India. Okay, but here in New York Declaration of Forests, much more importance with India is not at all present. If this is the case, then you can directly eliminate statement 5. India was one of the signatories at its inception. No, it wasn't. So if you are eliminating 5, you can eliminate B, you can eliminate D. Now, among A and C, one thing I would like to mention is that when there is any kind of declaration, any kind of international convention, any kind of treaties, all right, when there are any kind of treaty, convention, declaration, then there are certain things, certain goals or certain targets that they make to achieve. Whether by that year, by that certain year, they will achieve the target or not, that's a different matter, but they make certain goals. This is obvious. And if this is the case, then just read the statement 2. It endorses a global timeline to end the loss of forests. So it's a kind of goal or it's a kind of target. So it's true. So if statement 2 is correct, then directly we can move to option A, 1, 2, and 4 as the correct answer for this particular question. I hope you have understood the approach of this particular question. Now, moving on to the next. Magnetic particles suspected to cause neurodegenerative problems are generated as environmental pollutants from which of the following? Magnetic particles. Again, a very logical question. If you look at all these options, at least logically, if you think, you will understand that these telephone lines and microwave stoves within homes, they at least do not contain any kind of magnetic, they will not emit magnetic particles that will ultimately cause neurodegenerative problems, right? So if you eliminate 3 and 5 together, then you can eliminate A, you can eliminate C, and you can eliminate D, and you will finally get the correct answer as B. So this is how you can approach questions. Moving on to the next. Which one of the following is a filter feeder? Now, what is a filter feeder? Filter feeder is an organism, all right? Filter feeder is an organism that eats on the suspended organic matter present in an aquatic body. Filter feeder eats on the suspended organic matter present in an aquatic body, and thereby it helps in removal of pollution. It makes the water pollution free, right? Now, you can just look at this. Here is one chamber, here is another chamber. In this particular chamber, in the left side of the chamber, the water is suspended with organic matter. It's polluted. Now, this chamber, water can pass from left chamber to right chamber. And in the right chamber, this filter feeders, oysters are present. And they are converting, they are eating, they're considering this organic matter as food, and thereby organic matter are being removed from the water, and they are removing the pollutants, right? They're removing the pollutants. They're filtering out the water, and therefore oysters are called as filter feeders of the bay. So the correct answer is the oyster. Moving on to the next question. In case of which one of the following biogeochemical cycles, the weathering of rocks is the main source of release of nutrient to enter the cycle? The most easiest question in the entire question paper, I would say, if you have read the biogeochemical or nutrient cycling, right? So you can directly get the answer. If you haven't read, at least you can carry out the logic here. Weathering of rocks. Weathering of rocks. Rocks contain phosphate. If rocks contain phosphate, definitely it will fall under phosphorus cycle. So the correct answer is phosphorus cycle. Now, which of the following are detrivores? Detrivores means decomposers, right? Detrivores means decomposers. And we all know that artworm and woodlice, they are decomposers. Artworm and woodlice, they act as decomposers. If this is the case, then let's Search for 1 and 5 together. Here in A, 1 and 5 are not together. In B, 1 and 5 are not together. In C and D, we are having 1 and 5 together. Now, coming to jellyfish, jellyfish is not a decomposer, right? Jellyfish is not a decomposer. So you can eliminate 2. If you eliminate 2, you can eliminate D. So the answer that is left with us is option C, artworm, millipedes, and woodlice. Moving on to the next question again. The common carbon metric supported by UNEP has been developed for. So if you have read about UNEP, so this is a factual question. The correct answer for this question is assessing the carbon footprint of building operations around the world. So here, not much explanation is required. It's a direct question, direct factual question. Moving on to the next, which of the following have species that can establish symbiotic relationship with other organisms? Symbiotic relationship. When we are talking about symbiotic relationship means they are undergoing some ecological interactions. These ecological interactions can be mutualistic, it could be amensalism, it could be commensalism, or it could be parasitism. So if there is any kind of ecological interaction, it comes under symbiotic relationship, right? So the symbiotic relationship, let's check whether these cnidarians are associated with symbiotic relationship or not. If we talk about this cnidarian, a very good example of cnidaria are corals. Yes, corals are having a mutualistic relationship with algae called as zooxanthellae. So definitely they are having symbiotic relationship. Next, fungi. If you have heard about lichens, right? Lichens, they are in symbiotic relationship. Fungi and algae. Lichens are symbiotic associations of fungi and algae. So yes, again, cnidarians and fungi both are correct. Coming to protozoa. Protozoa are also a part of, they also have some symbiotic relationship, but not in the form of mutualism, but in the form of parasitism. A very good example I can give you is the example of Plasmodium. I think you have heard about the word Plasmodium, right? Plasmodium is a protozoa and it is involved in causing malaria, whether it's Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, right? Plasmodium is a protozoa and it is a parasite. So protozoa are also associated with symbiotic relationship or symbiotic association, and therefore the correct answer to this particular question is D. All the three mentioned are correct. Next, R2 code of practices constitute a tool available for promoting the adoption of. A direct question, and the answer is direct. It's environmentally responsible practices in electronics recycling industry. R2 code with recycling industry of electronics. Then moving on to the next. Why is there a concern about copper smelting plants? Smelting. When we are talking about smelting means taking out the metal out from an ore by application of heat, right? This process is called as smelting. Now, why smelting is important? Because it is, considering about smelting, what is the concern about copper smelting plants? They may release lethal quantities of carbon monoxides into the environment. Yes, it's possible. The copper slag can use the leaching of some heavy metals into the environment. The impurities, copper slag, the copper impurities. Yes, these impurities also cause leaching of some heavy metals into the environment. This is also true. Then they may release sulfur dioxide as a pollutant. Copper ore, it contains sulfur. This is also correct. So our correct answer is option D. All the statements are correct. Next, With reference to furnace oil, consider the following statement. What is furnace oil? Furnace oil, you can consider it to be a fuel oil, right? It's a product of oil refineries. If yes, if it's a fuel oil, yes, furnace oil, it's a product of oil refineries. Some industries use it to generate power. Yes, some industries definitely use it. Its use causes sulfur emission into environment. Fuel, yes, as it's while combustion of all this process, it will generate sulfur particles. This is also true. So definitely again answer D. All the three statements are true. So answer D is correct. Moving on to the next. What is blue carbon? Again, a direct question and a direct answer. Blue carbon is very, why they have asked about blue carbon? Because this year, a lot of question, a lot of issue and conversations have been taken place with respect to global warming, right? And therefore, question about blue carbon has been given. So the correct answer is directly carbon captured by ocean and coastal ecosystem. The carbon that is sequestered by ocean and coastal ecosystem is called as blue carbon. Next, in the nature, which of the following is or are most likely to be found surviving on a surface without soil? Without soil, and which of them are most likely to be found surviving on a surface without soil in the nature? Whether it's fern, lichen, moss, or mushroom, right? If you look around, this is the lichen. Okay, this is a lichen. Lichen, they can survive even in bare rocks. Okay, lichens can survive in bare rocks. If you have idea about ecological succession, if you are having idea about this part, lichens are also considered as pioneer communities, right? They're pioneer community. If there is ecological succession, these lichens will come first as pioneer community. They can also invade in bare rocks as well. So naturally, they can grow in bare rocks as well. So lichen is correct. And then moss. Moss also naturally, they can grow on woods, they can grow on rocks. So moss is also correct. But if we are considering about ferns, they can grow without soil. It's true, they can definitely grow without soil, but in nature they require moist and damp soil. They can be grown, ferns can be grown by the method of hydroponic technique artificially, but naturally they require these ferns, they require moist shady places to survive, and therefore you can eliminate 1, 2 is right, 3 is right, and therefore the correct option is option C, 2 and 3. So these were all the questions that were associated, that were all from Science, Tech, Ecology and Environment. Hope you have understood the explanation. Thank you very much.